This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning, the day after. 2 jewels of the Triple Crown in the books and in the crown, as it were. Justify gets it done and heads to New York with a chance at the sweep. We'll see how that plays out in 3 weeks. Seth Merrow, Mike Callahan. Mike, good morning.
How's it going, Seth?
Very good. Thanks to our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program, some of the other programming and events here on the network. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. We'll do a little recap of some of the stakes action yesterday at Pimlico, and we'll also do a little handicapping a little bit later in the show. But to start things off, we've been checking in throughout the Triple Crown season, and we will continue to do so, obviously, with the Triple Crown on the line. But our friend Steve Bick, SiriusXM's At the Races radio show, was down at Pimlico in Baltimore all week long. We're joined by Steve now. Steve, good morning.
Seth, Mike, good morning.
We want to talk a little Pimlico and get your thoughts on yesterday and the weekend all together. But before we do that, we were talking a little bit before we went on the air. I had to go back to a couple of days ago down at Belmont earlier this week. We're going to watch the opener at Belmont on May 17th. Again, just a couple of days back. Race number 1 at Belmont. It was a maiden claimer for state breds going a mile. And there on the outside, you see in that lime green, the DT Stables colors. Gotta love it. Carlisle Belle. This was career start number 5. She breaks her maiden. And why are we showing this? Because DT Stables, the nom de plume of Mr. Steve Bick. But even more importantly, if you look in the PPs and look under the breeder line, Steve Bick also the breeder. Nice win with not only a horse you guys own, but a homebred as well. Tell me how that's got to feel great to have one that you bred get under the finish line at NYRA.
It was special, and I appreciate the acknowledgement. There was an odd aspect to this as well, that one of our longtime partners, Dave Blaha, whose dad, Dave grew up in the area, and he and his dad Don were partners right at the beginning. The win came exactly 10 years to the day of our first win as a stable, which was just bizarre. It happened to be a Preakness Day in 2008, Big Brown's Preakness Day, and we were running Kickin' and Screamin'. Chuck Simon was at Arlington, and earlier in the afternoon, probably about 2, 3 o'clock, she won at Arlington, and we had, I think, maybe made 5 or 6 starts as a stable with Someone Loves You and with Kickin', and that was the first win. And so 10 years to the day, this performance from Carlisle Belle, and of course, she's the daughter of Austin Prasm, our first Saratoga win. So there's all that emotion and energy that's connected. And to be honest, Seth, we've had really bad luck. We tried to breed, and we had 3 mares, and nothing really worked. This is the only horse that will compete as a homebred. We had 2 foals die. We had abortion. We had absorption, slip. I mean, the worst luck with 8 tries. And it's not for the faint of heart. I recognize that, but it really has been special getting to this, and a real thrill, as you suggest.
And I will toss out, it's great that you've done it and you've gone through the experience because you're on the radio every day, obviously, with the radio show. And I think that gives you a unique perspective to a side of the game that a lot of people just aren't familiar with. And so the ups and the downs all play into that. And as you say, AuSable Chasm puts you in the winner's circle up at Saratoga, so you've had that experience, now the experience as an owner and a breeder. But again, it adds to just what you can give to listeners to kind of get them more engaged with the game.
I do, and I agree, and that's something that anybody that has been around it, that tries to get involved, whether it's with the smallest percentage of a partnership or whether you're a backyard breeder, everybody knows the hardship that can happen and the heartbreak because it's pretty delicate, and you lose the hard way. There's so many nice people along the way, starting actually with Frank Stronach, who suggested the breeding. When I reached out to Adina, they were a sponsor of at the races at the time, and I was interested in going to Alphabet Soup. And Frank Stronach himself at Adina reviews every meeting of their stallions and mares that are being offered or being brought forward. And he says, I'll breed this mare to Macho Uno. And, okay, not going to hurt you. And Eric Hamelbeck and the team there, Eric has moved on, of course, is now at the National ACPA, but he was the general manager at the time, and they've been so helpful. Was foaled at Stonegate, Bill Johnson, and then was raised at McMahon, and Joe and John and everybody at the farm at McMahon Thoroughbred. Then down to Woodbury Payne, he and his wife Olga down to Virginia, developed her, and then of course to Gary and Siaka and everybody at Barn 60, and it's really been an adventure to get her to the races and to win this race. Doesn't win again, so be it, but it was very fulfilling.
Where did you watch the race? Because we were kind of laughing. I was doing the handicapping show that day, and when we saw your horse win in the control room, they were saying, stick on the winner's circle, we'll get a shot of Steve. And then we decided, no, down in Baltimore. And I thought, well, I wonder if he was going to take maybe a road trip up. And then we realized, the first race wasn't going to play because you wouldn't have gotten off the radio show until noontime, so you couldn't have made that quick of a turnaround. Where did you wind up watching the race?
Well, watched right from the office in the press box at Pimlico, where I do the show from. The last 4 or 5 years, I've been in a really interesting office. I send out all those pictures all during Preakness Week from the files of Jerry Fritkoff and Jim McHugh, the publicists and photographers the last 70 years, basically, at Pimlico. And so when I finished the show, I just sat and did some work, was handicapping the Friday card and Saturday card. Just waited for 1:30 and watched it there. And actually, mutual friend, of course, Jeremy Plonk. Jeremy
Sure.
had come by to see me, and we were going over some things that we do together. And when I turned and said, I've got a horse running in the first at Belmont, he stayed and watched it. In fact, he bet, and he bankrolled himself. He bankrolled himself for Preakness weekend. So did Tina. Tina did as well.
Nice. And Mike here was talking before the show. He had used the horse on top on his handicapper's report, handicap of Belmont that day, and he mentioned that the horse 2-1 on the morning line went off at 9-2. So
yeah, the
nice.
overlay of the century.
Yeah.
I mean, that horse looked like, it was down to the 3 and the 6, but like we were talking about before the show, like you said, David Duggan was just kind of eating money that entire time. And I mean, the horse looked really good down the stretch. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So congratulations. Again, it was a lot of fun to watch the other day. All right, let's shift our attention to Pimlico and Preakness weekend. Before we get into the race itself, just cover, you were down there all week. Boy, it was disappointing weather-wise. Things kind of held together a little bit on Friday and fell apart yesterday. Mike was talking about standing in here and watching the track feed here at the Clubhouse Racebook yesterday. I was actually at a little house party watching the NBC feed where they had to switch to cameras all around the track because by Preakness time, the fog had settled in. Just give us a feeling for what the facility was like the past couple of days. And I should add, even with the weather, they had incredible crowds, which kind of shocked me. But what was it like live on the ground there?
It was difficult, and there's no painting a pleasant picture. Certainly the staff and management and everybody involved at the Maryland Jockey Club and at Pimlico in particular, they work so hard. They've got a facility that is just an aching, creaking mess right now. And if it's sunny and beautiful all week, you wouldn't have to worry, or you wouldn't see as pronounced circumstance as it is around the building. But the rain nonstop, 7 inches since Tuesday. The building is leaking in every orifice. I mean, and everybody grins and bears it, and puts buckets and garbage cans, and it's a very difficult situation. The grandstand, I know, certainly saw on social media, plenty of people had frustrating experiences, but for the most part, everybody does what they can to enjoy it. The infield circumstance with the big tents that they built, the beautiful temporary shelters and chalets. They don't even call them tents anymore. They've really adorned it. That actually is a pretty comfortable scenario most Preakness weekend. Yesterday, particularly, it was just hard because the ground was so soft and just such a quagmire. There was really nothing you could do, but I didn't see anybody grousing too badly. Everybody, the kids certainly loved it. They were mucking around, to the music and to the scene in the center of the infield. And then when that fog rolled in, you ended up with this surreal situation where you're waiting for the horses to get to the wire the first time and then disappearing into the turn. I had to watch the race a couple of times last night and this morning and really appreciated what NBC's been able to do with the drones, that we're able to at least follow the action at least till the top of the stretch. But then losing the horses off the turn for home until the 16th pole, past the 16th pole, it was really an odd scenario. I mean, I think all of us have been at the racetrack one time or another where it was Birdstone Travers in the freaky thunderstorm, or with the lighting and how eerie it was, and there's been Belmont where we've had kind of an odd aura. But this was unlike anything I can recall. But for the most part, everybody came out of it the other end. The race left everybody, smiling. I suppose unless you bet Keith Good Magic or Bravazzo. But what can you say? You make the best of it in every opportunity, and we had a wonderful time. Friday attendance, I'll tell you right now, that's not a count. That was just tickets sold previously and so forth. There was no 48,000 there. There was less than half that, but still a good crowd. And then yesterday, for when it comes to Derby Day, as rainy and miserable as that was, if you bought tickets, you're coming out.
Yeah.
And so yesterday had exactly the kind of verve that you want in that setting. And as we got closer and closer to post time, the energy level kept picking up. I mean, to be honest, the rest of the racing, the other 12 races, it was tough to stay, overly enthused or engaged. I mean, to be honest, with the turf races coming off and with what became an obvious speed track that made it, pretty obvious who was most likely to win if they were to get to the lead when you look at Axeman and you look at Mito, etc. But as I wrote last night, the greatest unscripted drama in sport never disappoints, and that was the case with the Preakness.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about the race specifically. As I say, I was at a house party yesterday, and a group of people, they were in all separate rooms, and as post time came, about 20 people gathered around the TV. And as they came under the wire, as they turned into the stretch, the crescendo began, and with that boy, ding-dong battle down to the line. Everybody kind of stood up and cheered. It's going to be Justify over a late closing Bravazzo. Tenfold will run third. Justify's the 7, Bravazzo the 8, Tenfold the 6. Good Magic, who kind of comes again in the stretch, but then right up about 70 yards from the wire, fades to run 4th. Chad Brown eventually quoted as being a little bit disappointed with the trip the horse got. Didn't want him to be quite that close early on. But again, and we're dealing with, as we watch the replay here, some of those fog issues. But it came down to the wire. Justified held on, goes to Belmont with a chance at the Triple Crown. Give us your thoughts on the Preakness.
The obvious storyline here is Jose Ortiz and Good Magic. And it's interesting because one of the scenarios that we did discuss this week on the radio was, what if Good Magic breaks as sharp? What being inside could potentially mean for Ortiz and how he and Chad Brown wanted to attack the race? Because anybody that knows how Baffert, and in this case Smith, when we came to the American Pharoah Preakness, it was Victor Espinoza, but you know that Baffert is not going to take any kind of chance. He's going to either go to the front or make sure to be, on or abreast of a leader, to be in a position to let the horse do what it does best. Now, yes, Jose Ortiz jumps off, and the first thing he says to Dave Brennick is, I screwed up. I went forward with him. He was aggressive, and then I couldn't wrangle him back. So, you know what? He can say that, and yes, Chad is undoubtedly disappointed to finish 4th, but frankly, the reality is that was the only way that they were going to win the race. If they take back and ride to be second, and they let Justify, if Justify gets control of that race because Quip was nowhere to be found, then he wins in a canter. So they gave Good Magic, and whether Good Magic gave it to himself, the best chance to win, and it didn't work out. You got beat a pair of necks. Come on, for second and third. You can't be disappointed. And frankly, you weren't even coming out of the Derby. You weren't even going to go to the Preakness. So you absolutely did the right thing by going. And now they'll look at their summer assignments at the Haskell and at the Travers. But I don't think anybody should be disappointed in Good Magic, particularly because for 2 horses to go at it tooth and nail for a mile and an 1/8 and then beyond, and I mean, really, virtually everything except about the last 150 yards. For them to go at it like that, and Good Magic only stayed for the last literally 60 yards to be headed. And for Justify to easily, people are acting like he won by a desperate nose. He won by a half a length, and neither Tenfold nor Bravazzo got to them on the gallop out. So this bizarre. I'm seeing things on the internet, the land of the bizarre. How it wasn't impressive. This was supposed to be the easiest Triple Crown race for him. Oh, this is the dumbest stuff I've ever read.
And that was going
to crazy.
Yeah, that was going to be. Oh, sorry, Steve. I was just going to allude to what you just said there, because Mike Smith went on record. They gave Good Magic a ton of credit. Bob Baffert and Mike did, but kind of analyzing Justify's performance, a lot of people are going to say he doesn't want the 1.5 miles now. Mike did say he got tired for pretty much the first time, but he also said he had something in reserve. So I'm in agreement with you. I think he never would have let anybody past, but a lot of people are saying horses were closing on him, so he might not be able to win the Belmont, which I think is kind of far-fetched.
Well, anybody that says that, they need to find a new hobby, or read something about pace dynamics, and learn something about the way horse races are run. Because horses aren't supposed to be engaged like that, shoulder to shoulder, for virtually a mile and 3/16. That's not normal. Just like it wasn't normal for a horse to go 22 and 45 and change and win the way Justify won the Derby. And just like it's not normal for a horse that had no foundation at 2 to be undefeated to this point in his career. If you don't get a break, if a horse doesn't get a breather and is not allowed to relax at all, it's one thing in a sprint race. It's a little different when you're going around a ground. And that's why Good Magic's performance was outstanding. Justify's was exceptional. And having 2 horses make up some ground late on the winner is not meaningless. It means something. It means they both turned in nice performances. Bravazzo was basically Oxbow 2.0. He ran the same kind of race that Oxbow ran against Orb, attending the hot pace of the Derby, and then comes back, and he wasn't on the lead, of course, but he ran the same kind of race that Oxbow won the Preakness that year. And Tenfold, kind of the lightly raced type that has got a lot of upside. That'll be the Asmussen horse that wins the West Virginia Derby because he's got one of those every year. And you have to understand the dynamic of races like this. And people should also understand that when you get to Belmont, and not to say that Justify is some sort of mortal lock, but the pace and the style of the race is a little different. If people want to say, he's going to get beat the way Smarty Jones got beat, okay. If Justify gets harassed for 6 furlongs for half the race, the way Smarty Jones was harassed by Part 10 in Eddington, yeah, then he probably will get caught and get beat. But anybody that thinks that his performance yesterday is somehow an indictment of his prospects in 3 weeks don't have a clue.
Did you, I saw a preliminary buyer, 97. Did you hear any update?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, 97.
So that's the number.
Yeah, all right.
Well, and, that's another topic that hasn't really been discussed because everybody assumed that racetrack was as sloppy at 6:48 as it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't think it was. It stopped raining at about 2 o'clock, maybe even a little earlier. The rain itself stopped. So that track, even retaining as much moisture as it was, and it did, 7 inches of rain in Tuesday, which is like, 6 feet of snow is the equivalent. To me, I think that track was getting to be not necessarily drying out, but was at least coagulating. And frankly, the time of the race is a good Preakness time, 1:55 and change. And the splits are very solid. Yes, he was slowing every quarter. Every quarter slowed from the previous, 23, 24, 24 and 2, 24 and 3, and then the 19 and change. But there's nothing wrong with that in the context of going a mile and 3:16. So the 97, it feels a little. It's obviously a bit of a regression from his previous 4 races, but it isn't something that's indictable.
So he goes on to New York with a chance at the Triple Crown, which, as a horse fan, have to root for that. Looking forward to the next 3 weeks as the sport will start to get some mainstream coverage, and of course, plenty of coverage by you as well on the Sirius and XM show. Steve, before we let you go, just want to see if you had any other thoughts on the 2 days of racing. There were some highlights over the 2 days. Red Ruby and the Black Eyed Susan. I thought Roddy's horse, I thought Coach Rocks ran very well. Nice second place finish there. Irish Warcry bounces back. Imprimis is going to prove to be a nice turf sprinter, it looks like. And then yesterday, both Axeman and Matoli put in pretty big performances. Overall, what were your thoughts on some of the other performances over the 2 days?
Well, in fact, there were any number of very notable successes in terms of connection, and notably Steve Asmussen, Graham Moser, and Baffert. Don't forget Axeman in this equation. His performance in the Sir Barton was really eye-opening, and he's going to be an important player for the second half of the year on the 3-year-old set. I said to Baffert this morning, what do you think? Because he hadn't heard the figure. I gave him the 99 buyer, and I said, what are you going to do? And he said, keep him away from Justify. So that was that thought. But I thought Axman was very good. All the sprinters that you mentioned all ran big, including Switzerland. And you may have seen if you were following what Katen Bradar was doing in terms of some of her reporting. She had asked Asmussen about the success he was seeing early, pretty much early in the day, and he mentioned he reshod his horses with what is in this era the best turn down shoes you can use. You can't use the turn downs that we used to use years ago, but he was using the best heel that's available these days. So he was getting, I think, a little bit more traction for his horses. Meat Hole is a stone straight. And now it's going to turn out that wet track performance basically was a bit of an aberration when he got beat by Margolis. But he was tremendous. Switzerland, you mentioned one other. Who's the other sprinter that we're missing?
Imprimis, Red Ruby, and the Black Eyed Susan. And, of course, you're friends with Mrs. Weber, super striking one, too.
Yeah, that was a nice win. That was absolutely a nice win. He was obviously very disappointed that the Dixie came off the turf and world approval, couldn't run, but everybody saves themselves for another day. Vertical Oak off the turf,
yeah.
On the turf. Ski Pat, that was a nice performance, and it was we're missing an effort that I'm just not placing, but that's in the back of my mind, but I can't think of what it is. It was a full weekend. It was terrific for the most part. Safe. Pretty much everybody came around well over the weekend. There was an incident on Thursday. Ferris Allen lost a horse, and I was actually with Ferris Allen earlier in the day that on Thursday, and I felt terrible for him and his owners. But other than that, knock on wood, between a difficult racing surface, everybody seems to have gotten around well. So that we're always thankful for that.
Before we let you go, I'll just toss one thing out there, because when you mentioned Axman and Baffert kind of laughing, I'm going to keep them away from Justify. It makes me think that may be an interesting side storyline going into the Belmont Stakes, because Audible, coming off of a nice performance at the Kentucky Derby, with Justify shooting for a Triple Crown and essentially the same ownership, what will happen with Audible as far as the Belmont?
Well, it's not just Audible. You've got all kinds of internecine ownership ties. My boy Jack, Salt Human. You've got there's a whole bunch of that to have to worry about. And in fact, Chuck Simon wrote something either on Facebook. Chuck wrote something I thought pretty poignant and interesting, and we'll discuss it in the coming week to 10 days. And that is, that, and I brought this up with Elliot Walden after the Derby, and Elliot understandably didn't pick up the bit, but the concept of all these owners teaming up, these super ownership conglomerates, Chuck said quite rightly, these types of owners, they're supposed to be competing against each other.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be basically turning themselves into a version of superstores, and that takes away at some point. Some people, I think, are going to blow a whistle if they're not doing it right now. And I suppose that we'll see some of that discussion specifically with Audible, because Audible does have the same four blueprint participants that are involved: WinStar, China Horse Club, Starlight, and Salt Human. Quip had three of those, and he participated. It didn't have an impact, so we'll see. But the My Boy Jack is the one to kind of watch, because Salt Human, could say to the partners, "I prefer if we don't run," and this is where that issue may start to get a little thorny going forward. So you're absolutely right. It's a storyline to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And maybe that, again, it's been a storyline over the past few months, these major owner partnership groups, but it may come home to roost on the other side coming into the Belmont. Steve, we'll let you go. We know you're traveling back home, so travel safe. Say hello to Tina as well. And we'll look forward to this week on the radio show, Sirius and XM's At the Races. A lot of post Preakness and Black-Eyed Susan conversation. Certainly, Steve, as always, appreciate the visit.
Thanks, Steve.
My pleasure.
Steve Bick, again, Sirius and XM's At the Races. Catch up with all the post-big weekend commentary and looking forward to storylines as we head to a potential Triple Crown as well. Replay the show here in the morning on the network as well. All right, we'll go to a break. When we come back, we'll delve into some of those other stakes from yesterday. Stay tuned.
Dirty windows? Don't do it yourself. Call Clean Image, your window cleaning professionals, and enhance the look of your business or home without the worry. Clean Image pledges nothing less than 100% customer satisfaction. It's guaranteed. Homes, offices, bed and breakfast, vacation homes, and more. Clean Image has cleaned them all. Carpet and floor cleaning, pressure washing, and janitorial services are also available. Call today, 446-1397. That's 446-1397. Online at clean-image.net.
You know and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots. In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on Sunday morning. Hey, we're heading for a Triple Crown. And one thing we haven't talked about yet, you and I certainly talked about it before we went on the air, and I'm sure everybody I talked to last night from the house party on, boy, what a chalky day yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about
it was tough to make money.
Well, you had that streak of just chalk, and you expect with the off-going that somebody's going to kind of not like it at all. Or
yeah, that's what I said to you. On a day like that up at Saratoga, you'll get the off-the-turf races where only 5 horses run, and there are 2 MTOs that just jump out at you. And so days like that, you can have some chalky races, but given the track condition, surface changes, you don't expect the whole day to play out that way. You think
literally
something
the
wacky will happen.
I've never seen it like that before. Obviously, the track was playing towards speed. There was a lot of impressive winners, just going to the lead, wiring them, and Matole was one of them. Axman was one of them. Justify, you could say, was just on the on the pace as well. He was right there. So again, it was one of those situations where you kind of had to play the track. And again, I know Jose in the big one is kind of scratching his head as to why he went with the horse early. But you sit off of him, you let him win, you go after him.
And Steve said it's
like Steve,
damned if you do and damned if you don't.
There's no way that any scenario was really going to work out for that. So you go after him and you take your shot. And to be honest, he ran a more credible race doing it that way than he did probably coming off the pace, and people would just said he's just not good enough.
Yeah, the post-race
he really took it too, Justify around the far turn.
Post-race quotes from Chad where he was disappointed, but again, it would have been tough to. He doesn't do it. Justify goes out and just. Then
you take back, you take mud in your face because Justify clears at that point. Then you kind of swing out wide to kind of get position on him. But again, it's one of those split-second decisions, and you kind of have to live with it at that point.
Again, just to go back to the chalk aspect, to give you a thought on the pick. Bets that ended with the Preakness. The 50-cent pick 3, $3.75. Pick 4, $21 and change. The pick 5, $84 and change. The 20-cent pick 6 yesterday that ended with the Preakness. The 20-cent pick 6, $41. You pick 6 winners and you get a stinking 40. There should be a T-shirt like that. I picked 6 winners and all I got was stinking $41. It was a rough day to although I say it was a rough day to make money. If you had the right opinion in some of these races, the verticals, the triple in the
I thought the triple in the Preakness was outstanding.
Yeah, for $1 you got $148 back with the chalk, a big chalk on top. A 25
right, you just
favorite
take the opinion, and I was a person, and again, I think Good Magic ran a terrific race yesterday. I wasn't on his bandwagon going into it, so I was looking at that angle. I ended up using Sporting Chance underneath. I like Tenfold as a horse that finished third, but again, he used Bravazzo and Tenfold, 2 logical horses underneath. You get paid $300 for $2. That's pretty good.
There were some spots where you could have made money if you had the right opinion there during the day. But it was an interesting day, and we'll touch on some of the interesting stakes races on the undercard. A 99 buyer figure for Axeman in the Sir Barton. Axeman's the number 8 horse, and as you and I handicapped yesterday, I said, Baffert comes into the Sir Barton with a lightly raced 3-year-old that hadn't started as a 2-year-old and comes in from Southern California. Hadn't he done that like 2 weeks ago? Yes, he had, and he follows up with Axeman and the Sir Barton, and what the chart margin, just under 7 lengths for the 3-5 favorite. He has another. This was only career start number 4 for Axeman. This is a nice looking 3-year-old.
He did it easy. We talked about yesterday in the handicap report. I thought he was going to have this type of jaw-dropping performance, and he delivered in every aspect of that. He went 142 and change to the mile and 16th. Geared down, essentially. Bob Baffert does have a conundrum on his hands because of Justify, which we already know is as good as he is, and I think Axeman is potentially the second best horse as he kind of goes along in this 3-year-old trail. Again, he's a May foal. He's just coming along to be 3. He's going to continue to blossom. I think he's a serious contender going forward, on the Travers, Haskell and all that kind of going forward. But again, trying to keep them away from each other. If they keep winning, they're essentially going to have a collision course, eventually.
Yeah, I guess if you're a trainer, good dilemma to have.
It is. It was kind of like last year with Airgate and Collected. Bob Baffert had both, and he wanted to keep them away from each other, but eventually you have to meet in the big races.
Yeah, eventually, but the summertime with the 3-year-olds, you can't kind of pick your spots. You can choose, you can certainly do both, and we always root for horses to do it, but you can choose Haskell and Travers for Pennsylvania Derby, and maybe go out and face Older in California and the Pacific Classic. There are options if you have a couple of nice 3-year-olds throughout the summer. We'll see what Bob Baffert chooses to do because, again, he's loaded once again. But the main horse going for the Triple Crown, Justify, again, we'll see how that plays out. But Axeman
a little disappointed with Pony Up. That was a horse that I thought in that race that was going to show a little bit. Had finished 3rd to my boy Jack in the Lexington. Thought that was a decent performance. Kind of didn't like the off-going yesterday, I don't think. I think he's a little bit better than that 4th place finish kind of shows on the chart, but
Title Ready ran second. A good effort from that one for Steve Asmussen, and that's kind of a second string kind of a 3-year-old stakes quality horse. But as you say, Pony Up running 4th was a little bit of a disappointment in there. A little earlier on the card, the very one, it was scheduled for a sprint on the grass, and we only had one on the grass yesterday. This was not one of them. This was moved to the main track at 5 furlongs. Girls know best. I didn't use this horse in my mix, but as I went back and looked, I tossed the horse in eventually. With the odds, didn't make any money off of that decision. But Girls Knows Best. I was kind of looking at the recent turf form, and the dirt form underneath was okay. I thought with the move to dirt, there were maybe some slightly more interesting horses. But when I saw the betting public go, I took another look, and I thought, you know what? Particularly the way the track is playing. This is a horse with a lot of early speed in a sprint like this, and with some okay dirt form underneath.
Like you said, we saw a ton of performances like that yesterday with Matole and Switzerland kind of doing the same thing. Again, terrific performance. Probably one of those horses that a lot of us, including you and myself, that tried to beat this favorite, kind of using a couple others in here, seeing as there was so much chalk earlier on in the day.
And that was one where it seemed like, as we talked about earlier, the track condition, and because there were other horses with some speed, and other horses that had what looked to be a little more bona fide dirt form, but she just seems to be in good form right now.
Yeah, she was geared down, very impressive. Kind of a disappointing effort by Smiling Causeway, a horse that I actually had much more poorly placed, finished 6th in that race. I think that's a horse to watch going back next time out. Maybe just didn't handle the slop.
The Maryland Sprint, I liked Switzerland, had Switzerland on top coming out of Oaklawn for Steve Asmussen, who had a really nice weekend, Steve Asmussen. Switzerland started the career for Chad Brown and showed some flashes of promise and just hasn't been able to live up to it. But moved into the barn of Asmussen, a couple of nice wins at Oaklawn. And here, Switzerland is the number 5 horse in the Maryland Sprint yesterday, getting it done, chart margin of 3.5 as the second choice at 5-2. Long Haul Bay, the Chad horse, put up a good fight, but eventually Switzerland pulls away. Long Haul Bay, the number 9, finishes second. Lewisfield runs third. So it was pretty logical. The second favorite over the third favorite in here. But Switzerland, as I say, seems to have finally put it all together.
Yeah, it was a horse that took 7 or 8 starts to break the maiden, but had lost to horses that went on to be stakes placed and in a lot of quality races. Finally figured it out, and right now is razor sharp. I know broke the maiden, went down to Oaklawn, looked very impressive down there. Stepped up into graded stakes company and looked just as sharp. Yeah,
interesting player now in the sprint division. You would have to think 3 for 3 now in the Asmussen barn with the 2 wins at Oaklawn and then yesterday on the sloppy track down at Pimlico. All right, let's move on to the Galleret. It was the lone race that was. That remained on the turf. We lost Cambodia, who had been my top pick. I scratched into Alicia's World. She is going to run 4th in here as the 6-5 favorite. The horse I had right underneath move up into a second spot for me after the scratch was Ultra Brat. Ultra Brat, poor performance most recently in the Jenny Wiley, but she rebounded to what we saw down in Florida a little bit earlier this year. Ultra Brat, the number 3 horse. Blessed Silence, the number 6. Had some European form that you had to think was going to play well on the soft turf course, and ran an okay second, but a well-beaten second. Ultra Brat just kind of clearly relished this turf course. Runs away and hides under Jose Ortiz. Chart margin of over 10 lengths.
Yeah, this was very impressive on the turf here. I went a little different angle with the 6, who ended up finishing second, a horse that came in with a lot of European races under her belt. You thought that she might like the soft going, but again, it was all Ultra Brat in here. Again, it's tough when there's only one turf race to kind of analyze it. You don't know what kind of bias there's going to be, so you just kind of went into it as though you're kind of don't really know anything. But again, being forwardly placed was good on the turf. We saw that twice with both turf races yesterday and the day before that. So again, it was all Ultra Brat yesterday.
Yeah, wins pretty easily there in the Galleret. Again, the lone race to remain on the turf. The Chick Lang, 3-year-old sprinting, another nice performance. Who wrote it? Pribbin or maybe Watchmaker, I think, in his column, said, this was a 3-year-old sprint, and this is a nice little subdivision of its own, a play out in the Woody Stevens and the King Bishop. But he said, given what we saw yesterday from Matoli, this is a horse that could step up and probably do well against older
We talked about it yesterday because remember we were talking about that 107 buyer and how it actually fit. And if you regressed even just 15 points, he still probably beat the field. He didn't regress at all.
Yeah,
he's geared down.
104 buyer figure.
Yeah, I mean he can go out there and wing it and still kind of keep kicking clear.
Yeah,
I know the one's closing on the outside. But there's no way.
Yeah,
they go around the entire track
about the
again.
8th hole, you think, oh, maybe he'll get caught. And then all of a sudden you realize, get caught. He's
going
to open up.
I mean, this was just cruise control at that point. And I know the one did a nice job because really you didn't see a lot of horses closing predominantly at all to kind of get out the exotics. But, man, Matoli's really good. Yeah. Validated that 107 buyer.
Steve Asmussen, part of his really nice weekend. And, 104 buyer yesterday. So he's strung together a couple of triple-digit buyers in stakes company, the Bachelor prior to this down at Oaklawn, and yesterday the Chick Lang. So again, given this, I agree with Watchmaker could probably step up and face older, but given the money that's out there, you can expect them Woody Stevens and, as I say, King's Bishop and those kind of races as long as you can stay in your own.
He could come back and potentially run 3 weeks from now. That race
that's what I'm thinking.
Didn't take a lot out of him. It couldn't enough. But nonetheless, you may want to just say, I have a really good one, and I'll kind of spot it out. You don't want to be overly aggressive when you have someone that, a horse like that's so good. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that horse and when it reappears, because that's one to look at forward. If this horse does face olders, is a serious contender as well. So
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see Woody Stevens, but it is, in this day and age, the turnaround. But you could pick that and then kind of sit towards the end of the Saratoga meet. You still have plenty of time. I'm just thinking. The wheels are turning. They're not calling me up to ask my opinion.
Buy a piece into the horse and just be like, hey, can you navigate this way for me?
Nobody's checking in with me to see what my thoughts are there, but it'll be interesting to see. It was a big performance yesterday. The Dixie, another one of those races that was washed off the turf and after scratches became a little bit of an uninspiring four-horse field. I thought Unbridled Juan had more dirt form. I couldn't quite pull the trigger on Fire Away because Fire Away to me was way more of a turf runner. Fire Away in the Phipps Silks on the rail, though, gets it done. The pre-race commentary, I know Ron Nicoletti and his partners, they were talking, they were kind of saying Fire Away maybe just has a class edge, and I'm wondering if that wasn't just it. This horse, Unbridled Juan is going to wind up running second here to the 2-horse, and a pretty good second, but does not, have anything to hold off the oncoming Fire Away up the rail, and it may just have been a class edge on the.
Oh, I agree, but they came home in a real time on this sloppy course. 143 and change for horses that are predominantly run on the turf. You would figure that they would just kind of be plotting home, saying, we're not used to this, we don't really want this, but I thought that was a credible effort. Like you said, the recency of Fire Away, though, because I had the horse on top on turf, then I got washed off, but still, this horse is just in incredible form right now, and I think it's going to be a big player.
And finally, the Jim Murphy 3-year-old scheduled on the turf. I like that 3-year-old turf division. It's always a lot of fun. So this race kind of fell apart a little bit with the move to the main track. But Tap Daddy gets it done for Steve Asmussen. Santana on board. This is a horse that ran third in the Smarty Jones 3-back on the dirt. Then they had a couple of turf starts. Turf starts weren't much, so I thought with the move to the main track, probably was going to help Tap Daddy. It did. The number 3 Tap Daddy went off as the 9-5 favorite and gets it done by 6.5 lengths. 3 over Deuce the second, takedown third. But as I say, there was a little bit of dirt for him there, including a good close-up third-place finish in the off-the-turf Bourbon last fall at Keeneland. That was a sloppy track. So Tap Daddy had that kind of wet track form that you could have hung your hat on a little bit in here, and does get it done by, again, widening margin of 6.5.
Yeah, I thought that was impressive because California Night, who's right outside the horse right now, is a serious racehorse. The horse had been running really good races on the NYRA circuit and really took the best shot from California Night, was still able to kick clear, albeit everybody on the front end seemed to have a pretty good day yesterday. Still thought it was a good performance, and we'll see where this horse kind of reappears next time out.
Yeah, they've tried the turf, and to me, the turf performances were disappointing. So off of this one, it will be interesting to see what their decision is next with this guy, because you have a 3-year-old that has a little bit of ability on the dirt. As Steve said, Steve Bick earlier, seems like Asmussen always has one that goes out there to the West Virginia Derby. This is the kind of horse where they could pick those kind of spots if they wanted to throughout the summer.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays out. All right, and again, it was a nice weekend. Congratulations once again to Rodney Valente and his family and the folks at West Point.
Got a chance to see him yesterday.
Oh, really?
He was in the clubhouse yesterday.
Oh, all right, so he came back?
He came back. Yeah, he was very happy with the performance. He said that, he kind of knew around the far turn that Red Ruby kind of had a little bit of an advantage, but he was happy to see her tenacity. And she did. She really put in a good fight. She was clearly the second best horse. I mean, the top two. And now he's just trying to navigate where he wants to go with her. And obviously, you'll probably have a conversation with him on Racing Across America about that. But again, he was happy as could be. He thought she ran a credible race. It was interesting to go to the lead. I said, was that kind of the plan going into it? And he said he wanted to be fourthly placed, but he didn't expect Good One Honey to not break well, and then kind of get squeezed, because we talked about that a little bit. But again, he came back very happy.
Yeah, so it was a nice
Rightfully
weekend.
so. She was a really good horse.
It was a nice weekend. Things fell apart a little bit weather-wise. That's always disappointing. But with Justify winning, things worked out the way they were probably supposed to. And again, we go to Belmont now with a chance at a Triple Crown, which is always a lot of fun for the racing game. As I said earlier, 3 weeks of mainstream media coverage.
And we're actually going to be going. We were talking about yesterday the win-win scenario. We got the one win in the Triple Crown trail now. We'll be going down and broadcasting live from there. So obviously 3 weeks from now, tune in on Saturday as we kind of see if we can get the Triple Crown home.
Should be fun. Looking forward to it. All right. Speaking of betting and horse racing, we'll handicap in a couple of minutes. Give you some ideas for this afternoon. I will tell you at Belmont, I just checked the Twitter feed, and Only race 7 at Belmont is on the turf today. Other than race 7, they're off the turf at Belmont, so I'm searching around for some of my handicapping selections. Mike's going to have a little Woodbine. We'll get to that right after this. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Sign up today for Capital OTB's handicapping series and plan your trip to Las Vegas.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow and Mike Callahan will take a look at some of the action for this afternoon. I'll be back in, about 2 hours with OTB Live for this afternoon, taking a look at some of the action as well. But we'll give you some ideas. Mike's going to take a look at some Woodbine action. We'll kick off in the opener. Maiden special at weight event. Going to go a quick 4.5 furlongs. What do you like in race one?
There's a couple of good maiden special weight races. I'll go in race number 1. I'll go 3, 2, 1 in here. It's only a 5-horse field, but there are some good quality horses. Number 3, a first-time starter for Mark Cassidy. That's Syllable. A nice $275,000 purchase back in 2017. Is out of Super Saver. Was 13 for 168 with first-time starters. It's not a bad percentage at all. Is actually kin to Telekinesis, who finished second to My Boy Jack in the Lexington. So note that. I like the workout pattern for this horse. 2 to 1 on the morning line, Patrick Husbands. I think this horse looks to get the job done. Underneath the 2, My Gal Betty, a horse going out for Roger Atfield, another one with a big purchase. Is out of Point of Entry, who was a long-distance turf horse. So you wouldn't expect this horse to run well in this spot. 4.5 sprinting is kind of the complete opposite. But the dam has produced 8 of 9 winners. So you have to take a look at that. Right now it's 8 to 5 on the morning line. The workouts have been quite sharp for this horse. And 3 of those 8 won as a 2-year-old. So again, I expect this horse to want to stretch out, but I wouldn't be shocked to see this horse win first time out either. And that's why you're getting the 8 to 5 morning line price. And then also the 1 Golden Garter. Another one going out for Gail Cox. Nice workout pattern for this horse. Is out of Golden Sense, who was quite speedy. So going 4.5, you have to figure this horse will show some speed from the rail at 3 to 1. So I went 3, 2, and 1 in the first. All right, take a look at Belmont now with Seth in the Belmont 4th. It's a $62,000 maiden special weight, scheduled for the turf, but is actually washed off now. What do you think?
So I'm doing a little crystal ball, admittedly, because scratches weren't up the last time I checked, which was before the show. So we'll see how this plays out. And I apologize for that, but there's a lot of turf races today, and the dirt races have short. So I'm trying to pick something to latch onto here for the handicapping, and I looked. Some of the other tracks. I mean, I have Monmouth in my mix for this afternoon as well. I think they'll probably be
the complete
same,
East just got
same boat.
Pimlico, Monmouth, Belmont. They all got clobbered by the same storm.
The opportunities are a little limited, but on the dirt potentially in the fourth race. 5, 6, 1, and 10. 5 is Scorpion Bowl, goes out for Linda Rice. And I kind of landed here because this horse has had 3 dirt starts already, and they were okay. So I'm assuming with the move to the main track, they'll stick. Tried this sloppy track at Aqueduct last time, ran third, well beaten, 10 lengths behind in a 6-horse field. But with that experience under the belt, and it's been off since the middle of February, I think the little bit of a layoff may bode well for this horse, may come back with a little added zip. We'll see how it plays out. But again, there's some dirt experience and some okay wet track experience. So Scorpion Bowl on top in the second spot. Went to the number 6, Kriya's Ribbon. Again, 2 starts so far for Bruce Brown. They've both been on the dirt. I would expect this horse to stick because the numbers fired on the dirt stack up pretty well with this bunch. And Copperline in the 3rd spot. It's a Mark Casse first-time starter by Kitten's Joy. Kitten's Joy, you think a little more turf, but they can dirt as well. So I will trust Casse that if they stick on the dirt, this horse will probably be a little bit of a contender in the career debut. Jose Ortiz scheduled on board. So in the 4th, again, a little bit of a crystal ball because this is an off-the-turfer, so we're not totally sure which direction they'll go, who'll stay, who will go. But I'll go 5, 6, 1, and 10 in that 4th at Belmont. 3rd at Woodbine this afternoon. It is another maiden special weight event. However, this time they're going to go a mile on 16th.
Yeah, that's another good one. I went 6, 5, 1, and 3 in here. I like Lunar Garden in a horse going out for Stuart Simon, and again, he's been quite sharp so far, 38% so far at the Woodbine meet, 3 wins and 8 starts. This horse, 2 back, raced against Dixie Moon and against Ontario Breds that day. Finished 5th, but Dixie Moon came back to finish 2nd in a really nice stakes race yesterday, so you have to like that performance. And then last time out, faced Stav, a horse on the turf course at Keeneland. Stav came back to win a couple days ago as well. I think if this horse could regain the 2 and 3 back form, could be a serious contender in here with Rafael Hernandez aboard. Have the 6 Lunar Garden on top. Underneath, number 5 Mexican Hat. It's going to be first off the claim for Catherine Day Phillips. This horse predominantly has been running over in Europe, in France on the synthetic and the turf course. Was actually trained by Andre Farb, and now is going to appear for Catherine Day Phillips in this North American debut. I think this horse is quite good. We're going to see if this horse can translate that Euro form over to Woodbine, but 3-1 on the morning line with Rico da Silva, who's been winning on pretty much everything up at Woodbine, 31% so far. I have to use that horse in the mix. And then a little bit of a long shot, the number 1, Love for Scarlet. 0 for 15 so far, so you don't like that, but last time ran the best race of the career, got a nice 58 buyer, was closing, only beaten 3.5. I like the horse on the stretch out to the mile in the 16th, should be closing late at a big price, so I saw it 6, 5, 1, and 3 in the 3rd. All right, we'll take a look at the 6th now at Belmont. It's a $40,000 maiden claimer, originally scheduled for the turf again. What do you think?
Yeah, again, a little bit of a crystal ball as there are no main track only entrants in here, but I went 1, 13, 6, and 2. Gambler's Fallacy, Chad Brown, first-time starter by Violence. Now, again, they were trying for the turf and also for a 40 tag, so it's a little questionable the talent level for this first-time starter for Chad, but I like Violence as a sire of win early types. Chad can certainly have him ready. Again, going to put our trust in the trainer. If they decide to stick with the move to the main track, we'll put Gambler's Fallacy on top. Went out to number 13, first on the AE list, but you would have to think the also eligibles, if they want to go, these aren't MTOs, they're also eligibles, but you would think that if they want to go, they'll get in as this race changes surface. But most of the races in the career were on the dirt, so I think this horse will be well suited. And there were some okay starts on the dirt, so I think the change in surface will suit Beach Access, the number 13, and Raging Fire in the 3rd spot. Another one with really only dirt form underneath. It wasn't particularly good dirt form, but just as you're kind of trying to read the crystal ball and decide in these races, you're looking for part of the factor is just who's going to stick in. And I think, again, the performances don't jump off the page, but numbers-wise, there are a couple of numbers underneath, particularly over the good track in the career debut, that probably stack up okay in here. In the 6th, we'll see how it plays out after scratches, but hoping 1, 13, 6, and 12 stick in. Race number 6 at Woodbine, optional claimer, non-winners of 1 other than 8.5 furlongs. Your thoughts in the 6th?
I'm going to try to beat the favorite in here, the number 1, Napala, who's 8-5 on the morning line. I went 5, 8, and 7, landed on number 5. It's Fate, a horse that's going to come off the layoff, but was running really sharp in the fall of 2017, including that maiden special win up at Woodbine over a yielding turf course. Is actually going to switch to the synthetic now. Is gelded for Malcolm Pierce. And Malcolm Pierce, another one who's off to a terrific start so far. I think this horse with some sharp works off of the bench can face winners for the first time and get the job done at 6-1. Underneath number 8, March to the Arch, a horse that broke the maiden 3 starts back down at Gulfstream. Then next time out faced State Breds in a nice stakes race at Tampa Bay. Finished second to a nice horse, and He's Bankable. And then last time out, kind of ran a little bit of a dud, but I think switching to the synthetic should actually be a good move for this horse. And then Mark Casse, who's always dominant up there. He's been in the money 26 of 38 starts, including 10 wins. So have to put this horse in here as a player at 8-1. Don't think we're going to get 8-1, probably get somewhere around 5 or 6-1, but nonetheless have the horse in the second spot. And then the 7, Piper's Warrior, a horse that looked good 2 and 3 starts back. A little bit of a dud last time out in the Wando. That was the race that we talked about in Racing Across America. That was the double DQ race up at Woodbine that we talked about on opening weekend. I think this horse can run a good, credible race on the comeback off that little bit of a dud performance, going the mile and 16 to have that horse in the 3rd spot. So try to beat the favorite in the 6th. I went 5, 8, and 7.
You talk about trainers doing well up at Woodbine. Norm McKnight, he's shooting at about 50%. A lot of those horses coming up from Oaklawn.
Because I was talking with Sully about that. There's a group of about 3 or 4 jockeys and a group of about 5 trainers that are completely dominating. Yeah. It's like taking turns the entire race card. It's unbelievable so far.
On the jockey side, De Silva, Contreras, and Hernandez.
Rafael Hernandez is on fire right now. And then we'll take a look at the Belmont 8th right now to close it out. On the finale, again, it's 8 race card at Belmont. It's a $14,000 claim. They're going to go 6 furlongs on the dirt.
8, 2, 7, and 5. I put Jupiter on top. Get some class relief from the last start for Wesley Ward. But the start before that at Turfway was right at about this level. Horse has some decent positional speed and just looks logical. Again, taking a little dip from that last try down at Keeneland, which wasn't bad. So Jupiter on top. Lightning Buzz in the 2nd spot. The race 2 back attracts my attention. Dropped down to this level last time and ran, an okay 3rd. The number went a little bit the wrong way, but I think we stand a chance in this group of getting closer to what we saw 2 and 3 starts back number-wise. And then in the 3rd spot went with Appealing Henry. Again, got to get back to some prior numbers, but one of those was 2 starts back on a muddy track at Aqueduct. Clearly, there's still some moisture in the track down there at Belmont. We'll see by the 8th race today. I don't think there's supposed to be a big warming trend necessarily, or wind or sun to dry it out. Not that I'm positive about that. Either way, even on a dry track, I like Appealing Henry. But if things are still a little wet by the 8th race today, that just gets a bonus again, looking at that race 2 back in the 8th at Belmont, 8, 2, 7, and 5. All right, we'll wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Before we go, I will let you update us on the promos and events.
Yeah, another busy week as now we have a Triple Crown on the line. On Thursday, we're going to do what we've been doing all month long is our NYRA Pick 5 online bankroll. Again, I had it last time. Everything was washed off the turf, so it was kind of one of those makeshift type deals. But again, we do want to note, sign up at CapitalOTB.com. And click on that icon. You can sign up there to be part of the bankroll team. Again, we always want to note that with the NYRA Late Pick 5, you can bet it here at Capital OTB. We've always been able to bet it through the branches and through phones, but you can also bet it through account wagering now, a couple different ways. If you bet mobilely, there's an actual icon on there that says NYRA Late Pick 5. Click on that. It'll take you to FastBet Mobile. Put in your account number, put in your PIN. You'll be able to play the NYRA Late Pick 5 through your account here at Capital OTB. So sign up for that promotion and play the NYRA Late Pick 5 here at Capital OTB every day. Also have a fan appreciation at Lakeview Inn, located in Naval Park. Again, always terrific. Actually, we're going to have one at Uncle Sam's as well on Saturday, as you see that slate up there right now. So take advantage of both of those. Lakeview Inn is located in Naval Park, and Uncle Sam's located in Troy. So take advantage of those Thursday and on Saturday. We're going to have the bankroll on Friday. Come down to the Clubhouse Racebook. It's always terrific. Our $500 bankroll sponsored by Woodbine. I always want to thank them again. And then the Bounty Bet. The Bounty Bet's up to $17.33.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's there's been getting a lot of notoriety, a lot of Twitter, people hitting it, wanting to know where they finished. again, it's terrific. Just play the late pick 4.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, if you're late pick 4, if you're a pick 4 player anyway, you're just automatically entered. You just have to play through your Capital
That's
Bet
it,
account.
exactly. You just have to play here through Capital OTB. And again, it's going to be attached to the late pick 4 at Woodbine. They're a sponsor of the Bounty Bet, so we always want to include them in this. It's up to $17.33. If you're the only one to hit it, you get all $17.33 plus whatever the late pick 4 pays. So it's a double win. And then if 2 more people hit it, you split 25%. 75% carries over.
And we should make clear, you can be the only one because you are in a pool of only people playing via Capital OTB.
Agreed.
So
last year, we were up at Saratoga doing handicap report during Saratoga. It was attached to the late pick 4 at Woodbine, which you kind of got, I guess, kind of lost in the shuffle. The late pick 4 at Woodbine paid $126 for 20 cents.
Somebody hit it?
Only one person hit it. They took down $2,000. So again, it really, when you think it wouldn't make sense for one person to hit it, everybody stays away, and then you could be the only one. So again, you never really know what it's going to be. Jump in. That's exactly. Just jump in and have fun, and potentially you can make some scores. And even if you do hit it with multiple people, you're still getting $30, $40 because you're splitting it with them. And it pays for the ticket that you paid for, so everything's profit now. So that's why I try to tell people. It's really great. Take advantage of it. And again, it's super simple. You just have to play through Capital OTB.
We'll continue to push that throughout the week, and I will continue to mention the bankroll on Friday here at the Clubhouse Racebook, because I'm feeling lucky. I am feeling lucky. We'll see how that works out on Friday. It's always fun, though. I'd love to see you down here for the bankroll on Friday, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Usually get a good crowd. A lot of regulars, some new faces, and it's kind of fun. Get to root along during the afternoon. Hopefully also. And my game plan when I do those bankrolls is to toss out plays that folks sitting there can maybe jump on, or even if I like a long shot in here that I'm throwing in my exact, that maybe just as we're out in the parlor kind of touting the bets, somebody can say, oh, that's interesting, and throw it into their bet. That's the game plan during the afternoon. So if you come down here, it's a little more fun maybe to kind of watch and root along.
No, absolutely. Whether you make the team, obviously you want to make the team, but even if you don't, it's just the fact of you're just giving information. Again, that's what we do as horse bettors, as horse enthusiasts. We're just always trying to get different angles, different people's opinions. You kind of filter it to the way you bet predominantly, or maybe something that's quite interesting to you as far as handicapping strategy goes. But again, it's terrific to come down to these bankrolls. The Clubhouse Racebook is terrific as well. So stop down. They're always fun.
Yeah, all right. I also want to thank our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. Always appreciate their sponsorship for the promos, events, and programming here at Capital OTB. Mike, as always, appreciate the visit this morning here on Racing Across America on a Sunday morning, the day after, 3 weeks down the road. Belmont Park, looking forward to it.
Wait and get ready for it.
That's right. And that's one thing. We got to see how Justified comes out and keep our fingers crossed that everything goes well, because it's always exciting when there's a Triple Crown on the line.
And it's going to be interesting to see the shooters that actually get in there as we formulate the field, as we kind of figure out all the pieces to the puzzle. But that's the fun part now, is we know what's coming, and now we get to see everything kind of shape up.
That's one thing about the close finish, though. Maybe a few more people will think, oh, Belmont, because as you mentioned, there are handicappers, there are bettors who are going to think that, oh, he was getting run down. You heard Steve Bick talk about, well, it was a factor of the pace. But a lot of people will look and say, oh, yeah. But, and trainers and owners aren't immune to that. They may also say, oh, well, now we're maybe a little bit alive in the Belmont Stakes.
Right, and you just, in the back of your head, you're always saying 5 races in 4 months. Now you're going to have 6 races in 5 months. And he's run the gauntlet. He's done nothing wrong. He's deserved, every ounce of credit that he's gotten. But now you start to become weary. Was he really that tired? And now you have to try to figure out, what everybody's saying. Is it true? Is it not? But again, he's a deserved favorite. Everybody should kind of toss their hat into the mix now. If you think you could get the 1.5 miles, go after it. Like you said, it starts to become weird with the ownership and the partnerships of.
That'll be
if
a fun
if you have a horse,
story.
If you're attached to both horses, what do? You don't want to go after your horse here, but you also want to stay loyal to the other connections that you predominantly have with the other horse as well. As long as it stays fair, you get a good race. Hopefully some horses attack Justified. If he wins, he's the best horse.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, you would think ownership groups and trainers want to, hey, we proved we're the best here, and we didn't keep our good horse on the sidelines to give us an easier pass, because then there's the asterisk next to the Triple Crown victory. So you would think, but it'll be an interesting storyline over the next few weeks. All right, we're going to wrap things up for Racing Across America for this Sunday morning. Seth Merrill, Mike Callahan. Again, a couple hours, I will be back with OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.